Alright, Shalom, Shalom. This is your brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp with another lesson through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So first and foremost, Kal Halayam, La Alahayanawa Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kaha Kodash, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai. Alright? Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, blessings, salutations unto the brothers, preaching and teaching this truth throughout the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more than ever. Alright, shalom unto the speckled bird Israelites who looks like the other nations but are Israel through their forefatherly lineage. And shalom unto the very few but faithful Aquats, which is the sisters. So the lesson today is going into some history. The book that I have in my possession, that I just go into from time to time. Alright, the book is Nature Knows No Color Line, the author J.A. Rogers. Alright. This book it contains a lot of valid information, a lot of factual information, alright, concerning our people, concerning who we truly are as a nation of people, alright, because we are, the scriptures say we are a nation robbed and spoiled, alright. So the first scripture that I would start with, to fire it off, is Revelation 1, Revelation 1 and 3. It reads, "Blessed is he that readeth, and that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand." Alright? So, with this year, we will be going into, as is history, and where history is concerned, you ought to do a lot of reading, alright, because again, what the white man does say concerning our people, anything that you want to hide from a Negro, all you have to do is put it in a book, because us Negroes, we do not like to read. Alright, and merely they themselves has a part to blame within it, because during the days of slavery, we would pay a grave punishment for reading. Alright, we would pay a grave punishment for reading, Reading was punishable by strokes, but reading the Bible was punishable by death. Alright, because they know that the Bible is our book. Alright, that's why they took our book and take out books out of our book and made it universal. Alright, made this book universal. That everybody has a chance. That everybody has a chance of salvation and what have you. Alright? By them manipulating the teachings, the true teachings of this book, which is the Bible. Alright? So, the scripture says, "Blessed is he that readeth," because when you read, you gain understanding. Alright? Because anybody now can read, but it's if you understand what you read. So, what this going into, because I just land backing off Elder Malcolm. Elder Malcolm, where he was doing a video. He himself was lambacking off of another brother who knows that he is an Israelite. He knows that the so-called natives, alright, the so-called Mayans, Aztecas, Incas, the Caribs, the Arawaks, who we have down here in Trinidad, alright, the Tainos, these so-called indigenous people or first peoples as they would call them, that they are the children of Israel that the Bible speaks of, and that they are the northern kingdom. All right? But also that the Negroes that came here through the transatlantic slave trade, all right? The Negroes that came here through the transatlantic slave trade, all right, they are also Israelites. They represent the southern kingdom of Israel. All right? Now, what Elder Malcolm, along with the brother, I forgot his name, what they was teaching and proving, all right, of who are the true Jacobites, number one, you know, and that, you know, we so-called Negroes, we played a big integral part within Europe, all right, because the so-called white man, they lie, again, because we destroyed for lack of knowledge and we don't like to read, but the so-called white man, they lie and say that they are the original Europeans, although we are not the original Europeans. The original Europeans is the children of Japheth, all right, Noah's first son. Remember, Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, Japheth, all right, and they were driven out of their lands by the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, the devil, the wicked that the scriptures speak about, all right, and well, so to make a long story short, with the true Europeans are the Pacific Islanders, those like in Fiji, the Fiji Islanders, the Aborigines of Australia, all right, they are from Solomon Island, and next one too, even some of the Hawaiians, they are the true Japhites, the children of Japheth, all right. They are the true Europeans, all right. They even in this book proves that. I just can't find it. I read it, you know. Next time I would when I do another historical video, I'll try to bring that out, all right. Because they had a name for them back in those days in ancient times. They used to call them the Picts. Why they used to call them the Picts is because they were the ones that really make this thing mainstream. They were the ones that subscribed to putting tattoos on their body, all right? Tattoos is a form of art, like pictures, you know? That's why they used to call them the Picts, all right? So the so-called white man is not the original Europeans, as they lie and manipulate the whole world into believing, all right? So enough rambling, let me get into the lesson at hand. Alright, so the first page that I'm going to is page 69. Alright, page 69. Alright. Alright, so this is Nathan, there's no color line, page 69. Alright, so I was going to be doing some reading and I was going to be showing some artifacts. Alright, and what have you. So, alright, the Negro, the name of this chapter here is the Negro has more Negro ancestry in aristocratic. Alright, aristocratic, that goes into nobility and what have you. Alright, aristocratic European families. Alright, so it reads, 7 years after the capture of Gibraltar, the Moors invaded France. Alright, the word Moor just means dark. Alright, dark skinned people, dark melanated people, as you would say. Alright, so it reads, alright, the Moors invaded France and conquered or overran most of its portion. They probably went as far as East Geneva, Switzerland. Alright, was then a part of France. Right, Switzerland at that time. Right, it was a part of France. In 732, they reached They reached Tours 2 days, marched from Paris, but were beaten back by the Christians under Charles Martel. Now, the so-called Christians, they say it's speaking about the so-called white man, the Edomites, right? Who claim say they are Christians, right? But like for another time, I ain't go bother to stray from the topic. They remained in southern France, however, until 1140, principally in the Camargue or the Western Riviera, which is still known as La Petite Afrique. Afrique, alright, Little Africa, alright. In 838, they took Marseille, and in 842, Alès, aided by fellow Muslims from the east, they captured Sicily in 837. Now, what you have to understand, the Moors, they were Israelites but practicing Islamic customs. Some of them was forced into Islam. Some of them converted into Islam for how you would say business deal, you know, to get ahead in life with business, because at that time Islam was very popular, and they were the ones in control. So if you want to get ahead with business and what have you, you know, merchantry and what have you, it is more than high likely a lot of them, you know, would have converted to Islam. There was an Israelite king, I forget his name. I do the book of Babylon to Timbuktu, and also that prove it. All right, he an Israelite king from on the west coast of Ghana. He also had converted to Islam. All right, for business trade and whatnot, to make it easier for him with business trade and what have you. All right. So continuing, so what you have to do, you have to get Africans out of your mind, because remember, we are not Africans. All right, we did not came from the seed of Ham, we came from the seed of Shem. All right. So and aided by fellow Muslims from the east, they captured Sicily. All right, they captured Sicily in 837, Salakia, and took 1 million pieces of gold. In 846, they invaded Italy, seized Rome, plundered the Vatican and St. Peter's Cathedral, and carried off immense wealth in gold, jewelry, tapestry, paintings. Later, with the Jews as intermediary, they sold back much of this loot to the Pope. Now, what you have to understand here, first thing first, all right, they had invaded Sicily, they took over Sicily, all right? And also where it talks about the Pope, what you understand, at that time, the Pope wasn't the so-called white man. All right, they hadn't come back into play. All right, they hadn't come back into play at the time. All right. What you have to understand is that the Roman Catholic religion was actually started up by us Jakes when we came out of when we came into power. Sorry, when we came into power after the fall of the pagan Roman Empire. I remember the Roman Empire was divided into two. All right, you had the pagan and you had the Holy Roman Empire, which was us. The pagan was the so-called white man. All right. When we came into power, we started back heavy in idol worship. All right, because that is what the Roman Catholic Church, that is what it is based on. It is based on a lot of wickedness, and idol worship. All right. When the so-called white man come back into power during the Renaissance period, they took it over and advanced within its wickedness. All right, but that is neither here nor there. We're dealing with the topic at hand. All right, so I'm going down a bit in this same thing here. Gradually, they were no. I'll let her read some more. In 982, Salakia, they defeated the flower of Christendom under Otto II of Germany, who was a so-called white man, Otto, all right? Unmixed Negro troops, most of them from Ethiopia, right? And that goes into the Abyssinian Empire, because the Abyssinians, they were Israelites, all right? Of Sudan, because when we came into Africa after leaving, when we came into Africa after fleeing from persecution, Roman persecution in 70 AD, a lot of us, you know, we influctuated lands like Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan, you know, Somalia, all right? And the word Sudan, it just means, it is an Arabic word. Sudan is an Arabic word which means dark or black. All right? All right? And the Sudan furnished a large part of the Moorish or Saracen troops. Thereafter, they dominated most of Italy for years, and parts of it until the 13th century, when they were swarmed by further white invasions from the north. Which goes into what? Which goes into the Renaissance period. All right, because the Renaissance period, it really started from the 1000s, even you could say from the 900s, but it really cemented its full control in the 1300s, going on into the 1400s by that stinking wicked Edomite by the name of Cristobal Colon, aka Christopher Columbus. All right. Gradually, they were absorbed into the Italian population even after the Israelites brought in by the ancient Romans had been. All right, so what they're showing you, we was ruling Europe because the scripture talks about, you know, and the devil shall be cast into a bottomless pit for 1,000 years, and after that 1,000 years he shall be let loose a little season. All right. So, just as the same as back in ancient Rome, when we were conquered and we were being absorbed into Roman customs and what have you, and given Roman citizenship and what have you. Salakia. All right. It's the same thing after the so-called white man had came into power. All right, so to prove, I have a scripture here. All right, Acts. I go into the book of Acts. Acts chapter 18. Acts chapter 18 and verse 1. It reads, after these things Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, all right, which were this was Grecian cities, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately came from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius Caesar had commanded all Jews depart from Rome and came unto them. All right, because what was going on at a point in time within the Roman Empire, a lot our ancestors, all right, the Jews, was deported from Italy, deported from Rome. All right, because when the Romans came into power after the Grecians, all right, they were the ruling class at that time. All right, they were ruling the known world at that time over on the eastern hemisphere. All right, a lot of us, we had gained Roman citizenship. All right, Paul was one. The Apostle Paul, he was one also too. All right, but what I'm trying to prove here, what I'm proving here, you know, without the shadow of a doubt, all right, that after we came into power, when the pagan Roman Empire had fell, we invaded Europe. All right, we invaded Europe, and conquered Europe and ruled the whole of Europe. All right, we ruled the whole of Europe. All right, so I'm going on a bit more in this, because we're going on the author of this book. He also gave more information, references. You see at the bottom here. I know you mightn't get a thing, but at the bottom here in this orange here. All right. He also gave other references to other books that you could go to, and think for yourself, you know, research yourself. All right. So I'm going on. I read a little bit, just a little thing here. All right. So the thing here, Negro troops helped capture Sicily. All right. Negro troops helped capture Sicily. All right. Ibn al-Atiyah, 1160 to 1223, mentions them in his this is the time he was born and the time of his death, mentions them in his Annales du Maghreb et del Espagne, all right, from 498 to 503, all right. So we had captured Sicily, all right, which is south. It is an island south of Italy. There's a province of Italy, all right. It belongs to Italy, all right. We had captured Sicily and was ruling and ruled certain parts of the whole of Italy. All right, these are things that they would not teach you in a university. All right, these are things you would never get in your so-called higher learning institute, because it's all a diabolical plan to keep these things away from us so that we would not wake up to the truth and know who we truly are, and know the truth within our actual history, because our history is very much deep. Our history goes way beyond slavery. Right? When you want to research our history, the furthest you can merely go is from slavery. When we came over on those ships, all right, and landed on the shores of the Western Hemisphere. But if you know you have that diligence within it to really research, do your research on what have you, all right, the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai will guide you along that path where you could be able to get that that proper understanding and truth, be exposed to the truth. All right. So next page. All right, I'm going over to page 93. All right. All right, page 93. Where should I start? All right. Okay. I'll read this highlighted part here. Now, let me see. All right, I'll start from here. All right. Where's the name of this chapter? Though? Let me see if I can get the name of this chapter, so I can get the context. Just bear with me. From the same thing, Negro has more and Negro ancestry. Right, good. So page 93, it reads in the second paragraph here. It reads in continental heraldry. All right, heraldry goes into nobility, goes into nobility, goes into royalty. All right, when they come up to the word heraldry. All right, in continental heraldry, as in Britain, one Negro as shown as wild or woodsman, that is savages, just as some of the whites, Negroes, like whites, or they're not white but they're red, also wear crowns and coronets. All right. Among the Negroes, more van Stossel, Sartorius of Schwanenfield, and Whirl of Germany. Alright, so I'm going down a bit here now, showing you here, alright, because they claim that they ruled, what we're doing here is debunking the lies that they rule Europe, and they was always ruling Europe, and it never had any Negro presence within Europe, and what have you, and Negro nobility, alright, Negroes being kings and what have you, because for instance, alright, the royal family that you see now, the Queen Elizabeth and Prince Charles, they are false. They are false. They are liars. Alright? They are not the true noble royalty of Great Britain. Alright? The true noble royalty was us. Alright? King James, the man that is responsible for the translation of the scriptures of the Bible, King James was a so-called black man. Alright? When you go to certain cathedrals and what have you in England, you know, when you go up and look upon King Henry VIII, alright, who was called Black Boy. Now, why the hell a so-called white man will call themselves Black Boy? Alright? But the thing is, when you go and research on Black Boy and you know his images in the cathedral and whatnot, you would see him, but what you would see missing is his nose and his lips. Alright, they chip off his nose and his lips as they have done with a lot of statues, a lot of artifacts. Alright, because our nose, the nose of the Negro man and Negro woman and their lips is what mainly identifies us. Alright? That's why you will see a lot of the nose and the lips and things chip off. Why? Because they do not want the truth to come out of these people who of nobility were actual within Europe they were Negroes. And not the so-called white man. Alright? So it reads, alright, side marker Wappenbach of 88 volumes already mentioned has a great number of Negroes, some of them with crowns and others as cardinals and archbishops. With these Negroes in German nobility, the evident Negro strain in Queen Charlotte, alright, this is the actual Queen Charlotte here on the book. Queen Charlotte was not a so-called white woman. Queen Charlotte was a so-called black woman. Alright? Queen Charlotte Sophia, consort of George III of England. Right? Of England, who was a German princess, might be explained. See her portrait, which is what I now showed you. Alright, Negroes, some with crowns, also appear in the coat of arms of German and other European cities and provinces. Alt-Otting of Bavaria has a black Madonna. Coburg has a Negro Saint Maurice, because Saint Maurice was actually a Negro and not a so-called white man as he was lied and taught. And Commersburg, Marflechen, Austria, a jet black Negro as St. Peter holding the keys of the kingdom. In the text he is called a Moor, that is German for Negro. Alright, because the Moors, they were Israelites, and the Moors, they were Negroes, because the word Moor, it means dark. Alright, the word Moor means dark. Right, we ruled Europe for 1,000 years, starting from Spain, oh gosh, Cordova, yeah, Cordova, Spain. I want to be correct. I think it's Cordova, Spain. All right. We started to rule Europe from Spain, and ironically enough, when we started to fall from rulership within Europe, when the so-called white man came back into power, it was Spain we started to fall from. All right, Portugal, Spain. Because it's there the first slave ships came from. The first slave ship did not came from Africa, from the west coast of Africa, as we was lied to. The first set of slave ships, it came from Portugal, Spain. So if the first set of slave ships came from Portugal, Spain, common sense is supposed to show you that hey, is actual truth that we was in Europe. Alright, we was ruling Europe. Alright? These people just come back out of the Caucasus mountain the other day. Alright? These people just come out of the caves. These so-called white people, they now come out of the caves. Alright? And what they do, they spread the lies and the evil wickedness and what have you, and make and enslave us. Alright? And make us believe their narrative. When in truth and in fact, all they had to do was go and read, and he would see the lies and hypocrisy of these people. Alright? Go into another page, page 87, because I will go to some pictures just now. Alright? Alright, page 87, I'm going to this here. Moors in French, German, Dutch, and other European families. Families of the continent also have Negroes in considerable numbers in their coat of arms. These are 50 or more variants of the word Moor in the European language. One Dutch family is described from Jan the Moor, who is shown as a Negro in Holland and in Germany, was Swartzman, that is black. That word Swart is sound familiar? Yeah? The Austrian actor by the name of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Alright? Schwarzenegger. Because the word nigger, it just means dark. Because you would find the word nigger in the Bible. Alright? So, Schwartzman, that is black. There are families with such names with Negroes in their coat of arms. Belgium has several Moors, the Moors, a Moor, Van Immersel, and other Moors with Negroes. Some of these could have been Negroes in the army of Spain when they later ruled the Netherlands. Alright, so let's go to some pictures now. Some proof of these coat of arms. Now mind me, these coat of arms that I'm showing you, they are still being used by the so-called white man in these European countries. Alright? As you could see at the bottom there, Central Europe. Alright, because we was ruling the whole of Europe, from Central Europe to Eastern Europe, places like Czechoslovakia and what have you. Alright? Bratislava and what have you, we were ruling. Alright, I have a little more, let me see if I think more here. Alright? As you can see, German families. Alright? If you want, they could take a screenshot, pause it and take a screenshot. Let me see, come more here. Alright? German families with names of Negro origin. Alright? Let me see. And watch these here now. So now, if we was not ruling Europe, this is the question here that lies. Alright? If we was not ruling Europe and we was not of nobility, alright? Then how the hell you're being able to find these coat of arms, alright, that is still being used today? Alright? If we was not ruling Europe, if we was always slaves, as the so-called white man, there's want to label us. Right? We was always slaves, and we were swinging on trees like monkeys on vine in Africa, and this and that and the other, and they civilize us and all these lies that they speak. Then how could you explain this of us being of nobility and ruling Europe? No. All right? Is either the history, the actual history lying, or you lying, and we know the history not lying. It's you that is lying. Because the history, it goes right back to the Bible. The Bible is the most accurate history book in the world. Without the shadow of a doubt, it is second to none. All right, the Bible coincides with history, and history coincides with the Bible, which is prophecy. All right. I'm going to page 72. We're going on to page 72. I want to go back. All right, page 72. All right, I'm reading some paragraphs here. All right, more. The race as it occurs in European heraldry always means Negro, always, because the word more means dark or black man. All right. Moor's head, says Berry, is the heraldic term for the head of a black or Negro man. But these are other historians. The author is referring to. Abbott says Moor's head, the head of a Negro. Edmondson says similarly, as this definition is etymologically correct, right? Because the word etymology or etymologically, it means root. All right, root word. All right, or root beginning. All right, because the root it starts from the bottom, is the beginning. A tree cannot just grow just so. It must have roots in order to take hold of the ground. All right, so that it will be able to stand sturdy. All right. So, all right, and this definition is etymologically correct. The Greeks, as was said, used moros to mean black or dark, and the Romans used it for Negroes. All right, woolly hair like a Moor. All right, because the scripture talks of the Messiah having hair as white as snow, as wool. Woolly textured hair. He had white, woolly textured hair. Not the picture what they give us where our people bow down to and serve and worship and idolize with that blonde hair, blue eyes, pale face, and long stringy dog hair. Alright, and when you correct them, they want to get angry with you and talk. But that is why Yahweh Hashem Yahshua is going to kill a lot of you Negroes. Watch when you go see something for your lack of knowledge and disrespect in gaining knowledge. But anyhow, that's not the time for it. Alright? Woolly hair like a Moor, says Marshall. To Claudian, Moors, Ethiopians, well, we don't know the Ethiopians it's speaking about is the Abyssinians, which are Israelites, and Negritians, that is Negroes, were some and the same. He speaks of the Moors who dwell beside the waters of Gur, most famous for the rivers of Ethiopia that overflows its banks, as if it had been another Nile. The Gur referred to here is the Niger or Niger, which is the Niger River, which is located in southern Nigeria. All right, in the Biafran region. All right, but going down. In fact, so common was the use of the Moor for Negroes that it is astonishing to find some writers calling Moors a white race. Yeah, it must surprise you how the hell you could call a so-called white man a Moor. The only way you could be able to call a so-called white man a Moor is if he was descendant from a Negro man, because you have to understand this. There are a lot of our people who are Israelites that do not look like us. All right, because Israel is counted by the seed. Who carries the seed? The man. All right. There is a lot of our people who would look like the other nations. You know, where our men, the so-called black man, would go with an East Indian woman, will go with a Chinese woman, will go with a so-called white woman. The child will come out not looking like him. It will come out looking as the mother. But that does not count the fact that he does not belong to his father's race, his father's nationality. All right? Because why? He came from the seed of his father. Israel is counted by the seed according to the scriptures. That is not about appearance. All right? The only way you could be able to call a so-called white man at that time and more is if his father was a so-called black man. All right? So it says, in fact, so was the common use of the Moor for Negroes that it is astonishing to find some writers calling Moors a white race. Because that is the lie that they try to push, that the Moors were so-called white people. How the hell the Moors could be so-called white people when the word Moor itself means dark or black man? So you see the lies that these people try to push, because they do not want you to know that we actually rule Europe. When they was in the Caucasus Mountains crawling on the knuckles and picking lice out of each other's head and whatnot. They do not want they do not want the people to really get that true understanding about them and about who we truly are. That we are the biblical people of this book. We are the children of Israel. And that we had ruled Europe for 1,000 years after the fall of the Roman Empire, which we had brought down. The next thing to the universities wouldn't teach you is that we was responsible for the pagan Roman Empire being fallen. We took it down. All right. So it says, so right, referring to more as the right race, Makriti referring to a passage in Claudian. Il leaves moros nec falso nomini pictos idumuit. All right, where it says that they are what they are painting themselves. Hey, that goes back to the Apocrypha. Let me see if I can get this quick here. This is first Maccabees 3. First Maccabees 3 and shucks. Right. First Maccabees 3 and 48, where it reads, I'll read from 47. Then they fasted that day and put on sackcloth and cast ashes upon their heads and rent their clothes and laid open the book of the law wherein the heathen, the so-called white man, had sought to paint likeness of their images. All right, because this is what they have been doing when they came back into power. What statues they couldn't destroy and what paintings they couldn't destroy, they started what to do. They started paint over. That is where you get the word iconoclasm from, where you paint over the original image. All right, they paint it over into their image, their likeness. Pale skin, long stringy hair. You understand? So this is what they were. This is what the man has been speaking about here in this page here. Where you going, by? All right. Wait, so il leaves moros nec falso nomini. Falso means false. All right. Nomini pictos. Pictos means pictures. All right, because this is in Latin. All right. Idomuit. All right. Idomuit, which is Edomite. These Edomite have been what? Painting the false image on our pictures. All right, the statues, well, they know they cannot paint over the statues and restructure the statues. All right, so what they will do, they will chip off the nose, break off the lips, mash up whatever they could have mash up and whatnot. But it was so much because it was so much artifacts that was left back, after our fall, that they couldn't destroy. And today in Germany, you go through in certain cities in Germany, you will see a lot of statues today, that where they couldn't destroy, because as I say, it's too much. It's too much. Yeah? A little more here. Then I'm going to come with some scriptures. Alright? I'll go into page 53. Let's see, page 53. Wait, that quick. Is that quick? Page 53. Alright, page 53, it reads, the Romans, no, I don't need to read this. I don't need to read this. I don't need to read this. I don't need to read that. Let's see. Oh, yes, no, I need to read this. I need to read this. Sorry. I need to read this. Alright? So, this page 53. Alright? Speaks about ancient Rome and going into this time here. The Romans took that name from the Greeks, who took it from the Africans later more. Seem to have come into fashion. This too was an African word, or Israelite word. Alright? Israelite word imported into the Greek to describe so-called black people, that is Moros or black. The word Mauritania in Greek meant black, says Harper. He was a historian. Still later came nigger or Niger from the river of that name. It is likely that people from Nigeria, land of the nigger, now Nigeria, brought that word into the language of the Romans, and since they were black skin, nigger came to mean black. Originally, the Latin for black was atta, but later the terms became interchangeable. This seems sure. Alright? Alright, so let me jump down a bit. More than one celebrated writer have fallen into error of supposing nigger a Latin word. The two other terms were Afa from Africa, alright? Another African word or Israelite word according to Gerald Massey and others, and fuscus. In the Mauritania, the skin of one Negro woman is described as fusca color or dark color. Are we to assume the same word was used for brunette whites or for very dark Negroes? Incidentally, if it did, would it not nullify still some more the contention of those who hold there was prejudice against blacks? It would be equivalent to calling the brunette whites Negroes today. So what it's saying is this: if these words, it is meant for the so-called black people, right? Moors and what have you, and nigger, the word nigger and what have you. All right. If you was calling these so-called white people that word or that name, all right, it would not have no need for you to call us by those terms. All right, because you represent, by you calling yourself by those terms, you represent yourself as being that people who that term had been labeled upon them. All right, but you cannot take that name upon you because it would not make no sense. It would be a flat out brazen lie. By you so-called white people, you know, you blonde hair, blue eyes and what have you, calling yourself a Negro or calling yourself a Moor, when it does not affiliate to you. All right? It does not affiliate to you. So now the killer here is page 34, and then I'm going to read one or two scriptures and out of it. I'm going to go to it quick. Page 34, it reads, Greek artists and designers of smaller objects were clearly fascinated by Negroes. Grace Beardsley, in her introduction to the Negro in Greek and Roman civilization, all right, and this is a cut here to you Christians. You know, when you want to talk about Cornelius and the Roman centurion and what have you, we had to understand a lot of us served in the Roman army. A lot of us was amongst, you know, and integrated into the Roman population, the Roman citizenry.
Hey.
All right?
Well.
All right? The Negro in Greek and Roman civilization says the popularity of the type was tremendous and is attested by a wealth of statues, vases, engraved gems, coins, lamps, weights, finger rings, earrings, necklaces, and masks from classical sites. Incidentally, she described the Negro almost always as slaves. Right? This is how they always look down at us, as slaves. The so-called white man. But since the ancients had such contempt, since the ancients had such contempt for slaves, would they have had them on their personal ornament or on their coins? So, if we was always slaves, all right, and we never ruled Europe, how come would the so-called white man put us in such a very focal and vocal point, you know, in being of nobility and whatnot, having us on these coats of arms and on coins and all these things? No, because remember, we was always slaves. You wouldn't put your slave in a good light. That is a slave. So these things prove that we rule Europe for 1,000 years. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. All right, so I'm going to say one or two scriptures there and lock off. All right, so I'm going to Acts 25 and 7. Not Acts, Isaiah, sorry. Isaiah 25 and 7. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 25. And verse 7, it reads, and he will destroy in this mountain, all right, this mountain, it means governmental structure. When I read in the scriptures concerning mountains and hills and what have you, it's talking about big governments and small governments, governmental structure, all right? On that mountain, that governmental structure, it is speaking about the so-called white man, the Edomites, all right? And he will destroy, who is the he? Yahweh Mashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people and the veil that is spread over all nations. Because the so-called white man, what they do, all right, they displace people, all right, they go into other people's land and take over their land and call themselves after the people, all right, like what they do in Greece and in Rome. The true Romans, the true Greeks were so-called black people of the lineage of Japhet. When they're going into the people land and chase them out, conquer them and chase them out, they took that name upon themselves. All right? Look, they take our name upon themselves. They call themselves the Jews, when the true Jews scattered all through the four corners of the earth. The true Jews in Trinidad, the true Jews in Jamaica, in Tobago, in Guyana, in Haiti, St. Vincent, Grenada, Barbados, America, throughout the whole of South America and Central America, all right, England, the true Jews scattered through the four corners of the earth through slavery, all right. They take out, look for instance, all right, they call themselves the Aryans. When Hitler time, you know, he called himself the true Aryan race. When in truth and in fact, the true Aryans is the so-called East Indians. So you see how delusional these people is? Alright? So the time is going to come where Yahweh Bashim Yashai, that covering cast where Esau Edom put up on all the nations, where they do not know the true, where a lot of them do not know who they truly are. Alright? He's going to put everything in place. You East Indians, they're not no longer going to be called East Indian, because the word Indian, right, it means savage. So you're no longer going to be called Eastern Savage. He is going to be called the nation of Elam, because that is a true biblical nationality. Alright? Elam, you East Indians are the Elamites. Alright? You so-called Africans, you're no longer going to be called African, because the word Africa or African, it comes from a Roman general, a white man by the name of Leo Scipius Africanus. And when he had conquered, when he had defeated Hannibal in the Punic Wars, Hannibal was an Israelite, all right? When he had conquered certain parts of where called Africa, he named it after himself. All right? But you so-called Africans who are the lineage of Ham, you're no longer going to be called Africans. In that time, you're going to be called by a true name, Hamites. That is what you all are, Hamites. You all come from the lineage of Ham. All right? So it says what? And the veil that is spread over all the nations, because hey, they really so-called white man do is spread a veil, a covering. Alright? Psalms 85 and 11. I have 2 more scriptures, and that is it for this video. Psalms 85 and 11, it reads, right, yeah. Psalms 85 and 11, it reads, truth shall spring out of the earth. Right? Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. Alright? Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven, because truth now is being spring out. Alright? The truth, this is the last days. And Yahweh Hashem Yahshai said what? He is going to let the truth come out. Alright? The truth is going to overcome the lies. And nobody could dispute the truth. The truth will always be the truth. Alright? This is why the so-called white man could have been able to spread so much lies through the 4 corners of the earth. Because you cannot lie about something unless you know the truth. You have to know the truth in order to tell a lie. Alright? But when Yahweh Hashem Yahshua say he's going to make Esau bear, he's going to expose him. He's going to expose the so-called white man for who they are. The liar that they are. That's why this truth is undefeatable. No Christian with your Roman Catholic and your Pentecostal and your none of your religion could defeat the truth. Your Seventh-day Adventists, none of you all could never defeat the truth. That's why you all, every time you all come up against us, you all always get shut down. Because you don't know the truth. Alright? And you will come with your vain arguments and your vain opinions. But the thing is, your opinions and your argument doesn't matter. My opinion and my argument don't even matter. It's all about the truth. Come with facts. Come with your facts. Alright? As the scripture says, come with your strong reasoning. You know, and let me settle this. Alright? I'm going to Revelation 12 now. The book of Revelation, chapter 12. Going too far. Revelation 12 and 13. It reads, and when the dragon, who was the dragon? The Roman Empire, the so-called white man. Alright, they were known as what? The red dragon, the great red dragon. And when the dragon saw that he was cast onto the earth, alright, cast onto the earth, which is what they going into the Caucasus Mountains after they fell, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. Who is the woman? Israel. Alright? And who is, well, it going back and forth is speaking about Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Alright? But also it is speaking about us here in this, right? Us Israel. Alright, the southern, well actually the southern kingdom. Alright? He persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle. Alright? That she might fly into the wilderness, which is in Africa, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and a half time from the face of the serpent. Alright? And the serpent cast out his mouth, the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman. Alright? Which is the armies, the military, and what have you, Cristobal Colon and what have you. Alright, which is Cristobal Colon, aka Christopher Columbus. Alright? And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood. Alright, when the enemy shall come in like a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. But to the point, verse 16, and the earth helped the woman, and the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. The earth, right? How did the earth help the woman, which is the nation of Israel? Alright? Through the artifacts. You know, a lot of artifacts being dug up on what have you. Alright? The so-called white man that's trying to discredit the northern kingdom. Right? Discredit that the Caribs and the Arawaks and the Mayans, the Aztecas, the Native American Indians, that they are not the children of Israel, that they are not the 12, they are not the 10 lost tribes, so-called lost, but they have been found. Alright? But hey, there's too much artifacts to prove that they are the children of Israel. Alright? The oldest form of the 10 commandments, it was found over here in the Americas. Alright, there are a lot of artifacts with Hebrew writings and what have you, Paleo Hebrew writings, that you find more over on this side than over in our homeland, Israel. Right? Then you have things like books and what have you. Alright? Proven who we truly are. Alright? You cannot hide this truth. This truth can't be hidden. Right? Second to last scripture. Baruch, going to the Apocrypha, Baruch 2 and 29. Baruch 2 and 29, it reads, and if you will not hear this, if you will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them. That's how we weren't scattered, through slavery. Alright? The Lord, this was the Lord doing. He scattered us for our disobedience. Alright? That's why we're in Trinidad and all these other places. Alright? For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is stiff-necked people, and our people are surely a stiff-necked people. Right? That's why they're all into all sorts of idol worship and all these things. And don't want to hear, don't want to listen to the prophets, alright, concerning who you truly are, and to return to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, all where we have been scattered, but in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. Alright, and we are coming back to that remembrance right now, to who we truly are. Alright, and doing the research and what have you. Alright, we are coming back to who we really and truly are as a people. We're waking up to who we are. Well, a select few, because the Most High God, He know what the whole of Israel, 2/3 of Israel, is going to kill. 2/3 of Israel, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Him and His son, Yahweh the Father, Yahushai His son, alright, along with the 144,000 and the angels, alright, 2/3 in you is so-called Negroes and Hispanics and Native American Indians. You all are going to be put to death, because you all do want to come back to remembrance. In the land of your captivities, we have been brought here as a slave, and still is a slave to this day. You shall remember yourselves. But that is only for the select few, the remnant. Last scripture from the Apocrypha, so I'll play in about 4. I'm going to 2nd Ezra 6. 2nd Ezra 6 and 27. It reads, for evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth The truth, which had been so long without fruit, shall be declared. And it is being declared to the prophets, starting with the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone on downwards. Alright? The brothers like myself. Hope he was edified to the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Kal Halayam, La Alahayanawa Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Akah HaKodash. Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Double salutations, peace and blessings unto the brothers who preaching and teaching this truth throughout the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and the freedom to do so no more than ever for this truth. Shalom unto the speckled bird Israelites who looks like the other nations but are Israel through their forefatherly lineage. And shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwats, which is the sisters, listening and learning. This is a brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp, signing out and saying shalom.